Da-da-da-da-da-dun-dun. When learning a new language, or learning about a language, we often focus on vocabulary and grammar. Although these are important skills to build on, we often forget about the importance of context. In this video, I will be explaining how you can use context to help improve your understanding of English, or any other language for that matter. Before we start, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to see more of my content. Before we talk about how context works, we need to define it. Context is the situation that is taking place. It is the picture that is being painted, and within it all the information you need to understand what is being said without actually understanding what the words being used mean. By doing this, you start making connections to what some of the words actually mean. This is what we call picking up the language. Okay, so now that we know what context is, we can look at how it works. Context is the theme of the situation. It narrows down the endless amount of possibilities you would have without it, into what is relevant to the situation, and into what makes sense. Let's look at this video. The context is a marketplace, so from that we know that the vocabulary we will be exposed to will be related to buying, selling, and the products being traded. We can narrow it down even further. From the looks of it, this vendor is selling different types of food. We have fruits on the right side and maybe some baked goods on the left side. Now, how can this help us learn the language? For starters, if you are speaking to the vendor on the left, the keywords will involve the baked goods, so those are the words you can pick up. Some goods can be hot, some can be cold. These are the things which the vendor will ask you, and you will get to learn how these words sound like when being used by a native speaker of the language. You will also learn simple phrases such as "How can I help you?" or the local equivalent of that. This is because there isn't much else a vendor can say to a potential customer. Let's look at another example you are likely to find yourself in while traveling. You walk into a coffee shop and say you want a latte. The barista will likely ask you two things after that, hot or cold, and whether you would like to have it to go. The more you have these encounters, the more likely you are to notice high-frequency words. We call them quicks, or keywords in context. The next time you go to a coffee shop and hear that same phrase, you will start to make the connection to what it means. Repeat these encounters enough times and you will soon be able to understand most of the general language being used within that context. From my personal experience, this type of language learning tends to stick with you the longest because you acquired it on your own as opposed to learning it in a classroom. You had enough opportunities to assimilate and accommodate the vocabulary that you will likely be able to retain that information for a much longer time. This is also why it is effective to learn a language through immersion. Language learning isn't simple, but with enough time and dedication you will get a grasp on it. So that concludes this video. You can use this information to learn any language, not just English. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like it and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I will see you again next week.